stop what you are doing. If you are thinking about buying an Apple TV 4K right now, you need to pause for 1 second. The device you might buy is about to be completely overshadowed. Multiple leaks, hidden code references, and trusted analyst reports all agree. Apple is working on its biggest Apple TV refresh in years. This new device is already being called the Apple TV 4K 2025. If even half of the things we are hearing turn out to be true, it could completely change the tiny black box that sits under your television. We are going deep into everything we know right now. This includes the rumored release timing, the massive chip upgrade, a redesigned remote that has already leaked from Apple's own software, and a secret plan to turn the Apple TV into the smart home brain. Some reports even hint at a built-in speaker and camera. But before we dive in, let's quickly check the reality of the current model. The current Apple TV 4K is the third-generation model. It came out back in 2022. It runs on the older A17 Bionic chip. It supports 4K HDR, Dolby Vision, and Dolby Atmos. It is still a very solid streamer. But in Apple years, a box that has not been updated in a few cycles is starting to look very old. Meanwhile, tvOS keeps getting more demanding features. Apple is pushing high-end games through Apple Arcade. They want to use advanced video formats. All of this pressure is exactly why leakers have been expecting the next Apple TV. For timing, we have heard hints from the most reliable voices. Apple insiders like Mark Gurman and analyst Ming-Chi Kuo have both reported a new Apple TV is coming soon. Earlier expectations pointed to a 2024 launch. That window has obviously passed. Now, the conversation has firmly shifted toward a refresh sometime in the 2025 time frame. Apple usually announces Apple TV updates quietly. They drop them alongside other products. This happens either in a spring announcement or in the fall near the iPhone or iPad events. If you are watching this before a major Apple event, that is the moment to pay very close attention. So, what exactly would a 2025 Apple TV 4K change? The biggest upgrade everyone agrees on is the chip. Going from the A15 to something like an A16 or even an A17 class chip is a huge deal. This is not just about bragging rights. It affects how smoothly the interface runs years down the road. It controls how well the device can upscale video. It is necessary for how serious Apple can get about console-style games. Imagine more stable 60 frames per second gaming. You would see fewer frame drops in the heaviest titles. It gives the box enough power headroom for future versions of tvOS. It prepares the device for Apple's advanced AI features. This stops the box from feeling sluggish 3 or 4 years into its life. Alongside that, there is strong speculation about more memory and storage. Right now, the Apple TV 4K tops out at 128 GB. That storage fills up very fast if you install a lot of games or big apps. A base model with 128 GB and a high-end model with 256 GB would make a lot of sense. This is especially true as Apple courts game studios. They are pushing Apple Arcade harder as a living room console. Combine this with faster Wi-Fi like Wi-Fi 6E or even Wi-Fi 7. You would be looking at smoother 4K streaming. There would be less buffering. Cloud gaming and remote play from your Mac or future Apple devices would be much more reliable. There is also a quiet but crucial video rumor. This is support for AV1 hardware decoding. If you have ever wondered why certain streaming apps cannot squeeze the absolute best quality out of your internet speed on Apple TV, the lack of AV1 is a major reason. YouTube especially leans heavily on AV1. Hardware support in a new Apple TV would mean better picture quality. You would get this improved quality at the same internet speeds you have today. It would also increase efficiency overall. This is not as flashy as 8K, which some people hope for. But honestly, with almost no 8K content available, 8K feels more like a wish list item than a realistic leak. AV1 support, however, is the kind of change you would actually feel every day. Now, let's talk about the most annoying part of the Apple TV for many people, the remote. This is where we have seen one of the clearest signs that new hardware is coming. In recent iOS and tvOS beta builds, developers found references to an unreleased Apple TV remote. This remote has a brand new model number. It does not match any existing Siri remote. Apple does not add new hardware identifiers to its software just for fun. This almost always means a new device is definitely on the way. The most logical conclusion is a redesigned remote will ship with the next-gen Apple TV. So, what would that remote actually change? The number one thing people want is Find My support. It is kind of ridiculous that you can track your keys with an AirTag, but you cannot track your Apple TV remote. A remote with a U1 chip, or at least basic Find My integration, is a very safe bet. Beyond that, it would not be a surprise to see slightly larger buttons. Maybe a more refined layout. We might even see backlighting so you could see the keys in a dark room. Apple might not go too crazy here. But the leaks around a new Apple TV remote strongly suggest you will not be stuck with the exact same Siri remote design forever. To truly understand where Apple is taking the Apple TV, you must look at the software. Every year, tvOS gets a bit more ambitious. Recent updates brought features like FaceTime on your TV, which uses your iPhone camera. We also saw better multi-view for sports. There is the new Insight feature that tells you who is on screen and what song is playing. Dialogue enhancement was also improved so voices are easier to hear. All of that points to the Apple TV evolving. It is moving from a simple streaming box. It is becoming a media brain. It will be a hub that knows what you are watching. It knows who is in the room. It understands what you care about. Then there is Apple's broader move into on-device AI, branded as Apple Intelligence on other platforms. Apple has not fully rolled this into the Apple TV yet. But it is not hard to imagine the direction this will take. Think about smarter recommendations that actually feel personal to you. Imagine voice controls that understand natural language much better. There is the possibility of local processing for things like recognizing faces or objects on your own home videos. This would happen without sending anything to the cloud. For that kind of intelligence to run smoothly in your living room, a much more powerful Apple TV box makes a lot more sense than the current hardware. Now, let's discuss the wildest, but very real, rumor. This is the all-in-one home device. Multiple reports have said Apple has been exploring a hybrid product. This product combines an Apple TV, a HomePod-style speaker, and a camera. All of these would be in a single device. Picture a compact speaker that you put under or near your TV. It would handle all of your streaming. It would give you solid, room-filling audio. It would work as your HomeKit and Matter smart home hub. And it would let you hop into FaceTime calls right on your television. You would not need to prop up your iPhone as a camera anymore. Apple has been experimenting with this exact concept for years. Whether it will be the 2025 product or a little further out is still unclear. But it fits perfectly with the direction the Apple TV seems to be headed. All of this also ties into Apple's major push into live sports and streaming in the US. We have already seen MLS Season Pass and Friday Night Baseball. There are constant rumors about more major sports deals. A more powerful Apple TV with better multi-view features, rock-solid networking, and perhaps a redesigned remote with dedicated sports-friendly controls would strengthen Apple's pitch. It would become the definitive box for cord cutters who live on sports, Netflix, Hulu, Max, Disney+, and every other service. So, what about the price and the product lineup? The current Apple TV 4K in the US sits in the $129 to $149 range. This depends on the storage size and whether you get Ethernet and Thread support. Apple has been under pressure for years to make this thing cheaper. They need to compete with Roku and Fire TV sticks. One likely strategy would be to keep the current model around. It would serve as a lower-cost, budget option. Then, they would slide a new, more powerful Apple TV 4K above it at a slightly higher price point. Another strategy hinted at by some analysts is an even more affordable Apple TV stick down the line. For 2025, though, the safest bet is a powerful refresh box at roughly the same price point, with the older model sticking around as the new budget choice. This brings us to the most important question. Should you buy the current model now, or wait for the rumored 2025 Apple TV 4K? If your current setup is already struggling, maybe you are using an ancient streamer. Maybe your TV's built-in apps are slow. Or maybe you just want a rock-solid 4K box with great performance today. If this is you, the existing Apple TV 4K is still one of the best options on the market. It is fast. It will be supported for years. It already gives you most of what makes the Apple TV experience so good. But, if you care about gaming, or future-proofing your purchase, or if you are interested in Apple's developing story around smart homes and on-device AI, waiting could absolutely pay off. A new chip, better networking, more storage, and a smarter remote are the kind of updates you would feel every single day. Add in the possibility of deeper sports features. Think about smarter recommendations. Then consider that longer-term vision of an Apple TV that might eventually blend with a HomePod and a camera. You can clearly see why a lot of people are holding off to see what Apple does next. Here is the breakdown. If you are not in a rush and you like to buy once and keep a device for 4 to 5 years, it makes sense to wait. Hold off for at least one more major Apple event. See if the new Apple TV 4K appears. If Apple does announce it, you will get the absolute latest hardware and likely a redesigned remote. And if they do not announce it, the current Apple TV 4K will either keep its price or, in the best case, drop a bit. Either way, you will still win. If you like the video, subscribe, share the video and hit the bell icon like that and give your best opinion about this product.